You're probably chasing money without meaning. And I did it for years. I built successful communities and a business that made me seven figures, but I felt completely empty. So 6 months ago, I realized I had to start over and build around my values instead. And I'm figuring it out. And here's what I'm learning so far. But first, you have to look inward. What I've discovered is that most business owners are asking the wrong questions entirely. They're asking things like, who's going to pay me the most? Or what does my market want to buy? But you can't build something meaningful until you know what you actually stand for. You have to dig deep into your values first. And honestly, I think most business owners skip this step because they don't know about it or they just don't think it's important. They never really connect their values with their business. I know I didn't at all. And I thought that my business is actually separate from what I believe in. And now that I'm going through this process myself, which I didn't do before, obviously, I can't imagine skipping this step. So what does digging deep into your values actually look like? Here's what you need to do. Here's what I did. You have to have conversations with the people that are closest to you. Ask them straight up, what do you think it is that I stand for? And it's really difficult to say what you stand for, even though you have opinions about it. What you think about yourself might be completely different than what other people actually see about you. So you really need that outside perspective from the people who really know you and know you well. Here's what I see most people make a mistake with. They don't confirm what they believe about themselves with somebody else who actually knows them. And look, there are probably online assessments that you can take to figure out what you value. But that's just the surface level crap, you know? And honestly, I found out the most about myself through being in a 12-step program and through doing years of therapy one-on-one with a therapist. That deep work on myself allowed me to become very aware of who I am. And these are some of the questions, right? These are some of the hard questions that you need to be asking yourself. What do I love most in my life? What do I not love most in my life? Who do I want to be with my kids and my partner and my family? Who do I not want to be when I'm with them? What kind of person do I want my kids to look up to when they are growing up? And how do I show up each day through the good and the bad? Here's the difference between surface level values and real ones. Surface level values are those bullshit ones that you pick off of that chart, of that online assessment, that don't really have much meaning behind them. But the real ones, those are the ones that you discover through those challenging times and you come out the other end. The real ones are the ones you discuss with people when you share things about yourself that you never would have thought you'd shared before. Your real values are the ones that literally hurt you inside when you don't act towards them. Your values are what you believe in truly and deeply, and you don't give a shit what anyone else thinks about them. Now, once you get clear on what you really actually stand for, and I mean very clear, not surface level bullshit, everything else changes about how you create content. But here's where most people mess it up. This is an ever evolving process, especially for me. But over the past couple of months, when I create content that's actually in line with my values, in line with what I believe, I feel completely different about it. I don't feel like I'm performing for some show, and trying to put on an act. I can speak genuinely, and I'm actually happy with what comes out. And look, I'm not going viral. I'm not getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views, but honestly, that doesn't even matter because some of the one-off comments I'm getting, like, you're very inspiring to me, Sean. Thank you. That to me is the real gold right there. There is no money tied to it, but that's something that money can't really buy. Here's what I'm learning about the difference between creating content for an audience versus creating content from your values. When you're creating content for an audience, you're just a stage monkey doing a song and a dance and you're just trying to impress people. And I say that laughingly and with empathy because that's exactly what I did for years. There were times that I could inject my true thoughts and my values into the videos I was making, and honestly, it got way better responses. But if you're just a slave to the algorithm and you're trying to figure out that next viral hit, or you're creating videos where you sound like some professional wizard, then you're just performing and you're not creating from your true values. What I've been discovering is when you're creating from your true values because it just feels different inside. And people get a little bit confused, right? Because they've been seeing you as one way for so long, and then they start to wonder, like, what's going on with this guy? But the reality is you're just living into who you actually are. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now in this video. When you're audience pleasing, it's the same thing as people pleasing, but you're just doing it on video. You're trying to be liked by everyone. You're trying to say the right things that are going to get you the right responses. But when you're creating from values, you know it's coming from your heart, from the core of who you are. Before I filmed this video, I felt very uncomfortable because this is taking a step into something that I haven't done yet. And making a difference and creating transformation, which is what I'm trying to do, that's what I'm realizing is the key element so many people are missing right now. Information is a dime a dozen. Nobody gives a shit about that anymore because they can get it anywhere. People want to hear something that's going to transform the way that they think and the way that they actually feel. Now, you can go and be controversial and go against the grain, kind of what I believe I'm doing in this video right now, but I'm not putting anyone down in order to do that. I'm not calling out specific individuals or telling you that everything that they say is fake, because I'm just speaking my truth now. I'm living into it. I'm being who I truly am. And I'm starting to see that sharing this is what I should have been doing all along. And I haven't made many videos like this before. I think it's probably one of the most real and authentic that I've done. So I know it feels uncomfortable for me, but it also at the same time feels very authentic to who I am. And here's the reality. You're never going to be everything to everyone. There's always going to be someone who doesn't like you or they don't like what you have to say. And the goal is to tune them out because they don't matter. And I'm not saying they don't matter as human beings because everyone matters as a human being. I'm saying that they don't matter to you and your business and what you're trying to achieve. You can be kind and move on. That's it. That's how you deal and handle with the haters. Kindness. And it's hard for me, right? Because honestly, I can be a very confrontational person, and then at the same time, I'm not. What I'm seeing clearly now is this. Pretty much all of my real estate content before was geared towards getting the most views and then getting clients. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But everything that I've been creating the past 3 or 4 months for Clear Voice Media and the Empowered Recovery Collective has been geared toward coming from my values and what I actually stand for. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When you start creating content from your real values, something will happen. You naturally start attracting people who share those same values. But this is the reality that I'm facing. When you do start attracting people who actually share your values, you start finding more juice and meaning in life. And I'm not saying that it wasn't there before, but it was most likely being hidden under all the chasing that you've been doing. I know that's what it was like for me personally, because when you're constantly looking for that next deal, that next client, that next commission check, that next job, you just get caught up and lose sight of what really matters. What really matters is relationship building, having real connections with human beings above and beyond just a sale, right? Like it doesn't have to do with business. That's what matters. Being able to share yourself intimately with somebody else That's what matters. And here's the difference between building an audience and attracting your people. When you're constantly performing on that hamster wheel, all you're looking to do is get more followers and subscribers. And we've all been victim of this before. Those are just hollow, transactional relationships. But when you find people who actually share your values, who want to be in your community, and they want to help you build your community, something much deeper happens. That deeper aspect is truly being in unison with another person who's looking to do the same thing as you, and that is very powerful. Look, it's okay to strive to make more money and to create security for yourself and your family. I'm never going to say that's a bad thing, because that's what I'm always looking to do myself, but there's so much more to life than just making money. And a big part of life is creating those lasting relationships. This is something I'm actively working on doing again too, to be completely honest and completely transparent with you, because I have gotten away from this in my endeavor to just chase after money. But how do you know if somebody actually shares your values? What I've come to realize is the number one way doing it online is based on what they actually comment, what they're actually saying to you based on what you're putting out there. You know, I have a couple creators that I follow that I leave very intimate comments on, because they've transformed how I think and how I'm operating this new business. And you know, the people that are just consuming your content, maybe you're getting a few hundred or 1,000 views, but you're not getting any comments to support it. The comments are what people say. That's what I'm learning is the key indicator, because it's valuable to them. Like when they actually put some thought and effort into it, that is gold. But there is no timetable for this process, right? It could take months or years, or you can hit some kind of, fortune very quickly. So this channel, Clear Voice Media, is only 3.5 months old, and I still haven't gotten there yet. I've gotten some great comments, but nothing substantial, right? And I've gotten okay views, but again, nothing very substantial. And I know that this is a process, and it's going to take a while to reach the right people. But when it happens, those floodgates will open. What you need to expect early on in the process is that you're pretty much going to be talking to yourself. And honestly, that's okay, because you're going to learn along the way, right? You're going to find out what's working. You're going to find out what's not working. You're going to be trying to constantly innovate and try different things, different formats, different styles of videos. And then finally, you're going to land on something that works. And look, 3.5 months in, and I feel like I'm finally finding a really good rhythm and style. I'm also finding my voice more, which to me is one of the most powerful things. But once you do all of that, I tend to see a lot of people quit here. And it's the part that nobody talks about. When you're building a purpose-driven business, it isn't like you're just building a regular business. There's something that Seth Godin calls the dip that you have to be prepared for. The dip is those early months or even years where you're creating and putting out content around your values, but nobody's really listening, right? Nobody's tuning in, nobody's commenting, and this is the challenging part that I'm experiencing right now. I've built a real estate business from scratch before, from absolutely nothing and knowing nothing about the business. And I absolutely did have some values around it, but it left me empty towards the end because I knew I was just chasing that next commission check. I've also helped create an in-person mastermind that was built around a lot of solid values. That mastermind flourished and still does, even to this day, and I'm not even part of it anymore. But like I already said, that mastermind was built around very solid values. There were parts of that early mastermind journey where we were only getting a few people in a tight, small room, but it was powerful. Like there was a lot of meaning and true value behind it. Then we got to the point where there was like 20 or 30 people every single week, and it was that thing that everybody looked forward to. What I'm discovering is most people quit during the early on phase because they simply can't handle that process. They can't handle people not responding, not making money, and not getting the feedback that they wish they were getting. And I'm completely empathetic to this situation because I'm not making money from my content currently. So when I go through the dip and when you're going through the dip, it's hard to stay afloat. There's a level of discipline, and in my opinion, the most important thing is faith, to be honest. That's what helps you get through this. Faith in yourself and what you're actually doing. There is no timetable for the dip, and I'm sorry to burst your bubble. When nothing feels like it's working, you have to come back to why you're doing this in the first place. You have to understand that if your heart is in the right place, you will get there eventually. Everything worthwhile that lasts for a long time is built from a very solid foundation. And right now, that's the stage I'm in. And think about it like this. When somebody is building a house, they don't build the frame, the actual house first, because it would collapse. If you just put it on dirt, it would collapse. They start with the foundation, and the dip is literally the foundation. If you're focused on building the wrong thing, which in my opinion is just focusing on making money, you can find success, but it probably is not going to last for a long time. If you don't care about building relationships or care about making a difference or an impact, making money will only take you so far, and take it from someone who's lived it. And here's what I know, and this is from being in recovery for the past 16 and a half years. I didn't start out at 16 and a half years, right? I started out at day one, a complete mess, scared to death, didn't know how to live or function. But I found a community that could help me. And little by little, with the help of so many other people, I built a solid foundation. And from that foundation, I started building the house that became my life. And it just got stronger and stronger over the years. Everyone starts at day one. There is no fast forwarding to the middle or to the end. If you're in the dip, welcome. I'm there with you. But I do believe this. There is so much more to what I'm doing, and I'm going to ride it out until the very end. If your values are aligned and you know what you're doing is the right thing for the right reasons, then you will get through the dip. So here's what happens when you do this deep work. If you are able to dig deep into your values, create content from that authentic place, attract people who share what you believe, and push through the dip, you stop feeling like you're performing and you start feeling like you're actually living your purpose. The people who engage with your content aren't just customers. They become part of something so much bigger. They become advocates for what you're building, and they want to help you build along the way. And yeah, it does take longer. It's hard, and there's a lot of uncertainty, but the alternative is spending years building something that just leaves you empty, no matter how much money you actually make. And look, I'm not going to lie to you and say that it's easy, because it's absolutely not. Again, I'm 3.5 months into this journey, and I'm still in the dip right now, but I've never felt more aligned with what I'm doing. I've never felt more confident that I'm building something that actually matters. Your assignment is simple. Start with yourself. Ask the hard questions about what you actually value. Have those uncomfortable conversations with the people you know, and get brutally honest about what you stand for, because you cannot find your people until you know yourself. If you're new here, make sure that you watch the first 2 videos in this playlist.